I saw her before she saw me. She always told the opposite to people, but I suppose that's because she never knew the truth. In fact, there are many truths my former wife never came to know. For instance, she didn't know that my parents hated her. They always treated her fairly enough, but behind her back they always whispered disapproving remarks about how she wasn't deserving of their golden son. I was never bothered because I was very impulsive and I would follow my heart to the ends of this world, or so I would like to believe. Another thing she never knew the truth of was my profession. And this is the big one. I was never a night shift nurse. And for the last few years, I haven't been working as a journalist. The truth was for her own protection. But since I have little care for random strangers on the internet, I'll share the truth here. I was a grave robber. You might laugh at how ridiculous that sounds, but if you could see all the amazing things I've found and gathered throughout my life, you'd bite your tongue. It's how I paid the rent when we were overdue. It's how I brought food to the table during my wife's depressing months. It's how I got every family member a present each Christmas. And I never felt 1 ounce of guilt, in case you're wondering. Those inanimate beings had no need for the things put away with them. Nor did they frighten me, no matter how decayed they were. I loved my job. It was a mystery all around. Sometimes I would cheat and attend the open casket funerals beforehand to catch a peek of anything worthwhile, but those were lazy times. All those antique watches, solid gold neck pieces, ancient rings currently back into fashion, and often or not, a letter. You may think me a cruel, disgusting being, but those letters I never dared to touch. They were words to the dead, and as human beings, words are all we have. So to steal or defile something so true goes against my moral beliefs. You must believe I never, ever meant to read that. Now, I realize you might wonder why I chose to share this, and I have a suspicion you might already know the answer to it. So yes, after years of robbing the dead, the tide has turned, and I have finally opened the wrong casket. The irony in it is, I dug up that grave with no intention to steal, but to reveal a truth which I kept denying. Opening that wooden box which I had to dreadfully pick out myself. Opening it and seeing her in her eternal rest after months was the only possible way I could have acceptance of the loss of my wife. I also know that people can be judgmental, but everybody deals differently with things, and opening my wife's grave is not something I regret, but reading the note so carefully laid out atop her chest, unfolded with the words abruptly exposed, now that is something I regret. There were 3 words, and that's all it took for a lifetime of deceit to be brought to light. Those words held a secret, my secret, which she knew about all along. And it held a promise I made that whenever she needed me, I would answer her call. Come to me. A simple, unmistakable request. One I had no intention of accepting, but reading words from beyond, or words meant to reach beyond, is a stupid thing to do. Any form of successful communication between life and death is fatal, and that's something I came to understand the moment I read those words and saw the grin tug at her dead pale lips. She knew I was going to open her casket. She knew everything all along. I feel like my words might be a tad gibberish, but I suspect anybody would be in a much worse state if they had a phantom breathing down their necks. So I'll go join her now, even though I'm poxed and denied of choice. There's not enough time to elaborate more, despite the heaps of information I have left to report of my findings. I'll just leave a warning here. For all you current and future grave robbers, never, ever read those letters.